This meeting of the Anderson Township's Board of Zoning Appeals is hereby called to order. This board was established pursuant to Section 519.13 of the Ohio Revised Code by Anderson Township trustees. It is. To provide administrative relief to any person or entity adversely affected by the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Here.
Mr. Halpin.
Present.
Mr. Shekels.
Here.
Mr. Lawrence.
Here.
Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Please be aware that this meeting is audio and videotaped and may be carried live on television. First, I'll outline our procedures. A summary of the appeal is presented by the staff, and the appellant will present its case. The board members may then ask questions of the appellant. After that, all persons supporting the appeal will be permitted to testify, one at a time, after being recognized by the chairman. When those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed to the appeal will then be permitted to testify and or ask questions of the board after being recognized by the chairman. All persons wishing to testify, whether for or against an appeal, may only do so after being sworn in. When testifying, each person must come forward to the podium, speak their name into the microphone, state their name and address, and any affiliation to the case. All testimony is given to the board only. No comments or questions are to be directed to the appellant or anyone in the audience. The board will only hear new, non-repetitive evidence or questions. Should someone wish to show support of previous testimony, they may do so by following the testimony procedures and stating their support of previous testimony. For all those who will be giving testimony today, please stand, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Yes, since our secretary is not here to this meeting, we will need to elect an acting secretary for the meeting.
We'll do that now.
If you would like to.
Any volunteers?
I'll do it.
I'd like to place a nomination of John as our acting secretary.
We've got a motion for John Halpin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Are there any changes from the minutes of the November 2nd, 2023 meeting?
Not that we're aware of.
Any changes from board? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call on that. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
With that, the minutes from November 2nd, 2023 are approved. Will staff please read the summary for case 21-2023 BZA.
Thank you, board. So case 21-2023, our applicant is Julie and Andrew Hibner. They're the property owners for 1399 Washington Circle. The zoning district is C residence, and the request is for a short-term rental at the premises of 1399 Washington Circle per Article 5.4 1 or I-15 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The proposed development is to operate a short-term rental in an existing single-family home. The home is a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom, is about 1,500 square feet. The applicant is not proposing any changes and has indicated that they plan to use Airbnb, VRBO, and like companies to screen their potential guests. The history for the home, it was built in 1963 and was purchased by the Hibners in June of 2023, and we do not have any zoning code or property maintenance complaints for the property. As you can see in front of you, there is the property map for the property in question. Here's an aerial of the property with the property lines in red. A topography map. The property itself is fairly flat, not much in terms of terrain changes. And then these are some photos that we took of the property on November 22nd. And then here's a scan, they're scanned in submittal. You should receive that in your packets, and it was on our website as well. So some of the findings, the proposed use and development would comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution. The proposed short-term rental would not have any adverse effect upon adjacent property or the public health, safety, and general welfare. The applicant has proposed a maximum of 3 cars allowed at the house, and there's no significant changes to the outside to keep in compliance or to keep consistent with the character of the neighborhood. And then the house will be maintained and landscaped professionally by a local company. The short-term rental will respect the natural, scenic, historic features of the public, of significant public interest. They have not proposed any changes to the exterior, and their landscaping and lawn, again, will be maintained professionally. And the granting of the conditional use wouldn't impact governmental services. It was found to be consistent with adopted township plans. So going through the specific criteria for short-term rentals, it was found compliant with parking. The parking would be located in the driveway parking area in the back of the house. It was compliant for criteria H. The maximum number of vehicles will be 3 and will be located in the appropriate area that was designated in their packet. The criteria I, or I think that's L, criteria L, is also compliant. The applicant plans to use party squasher technology to monitor the number of guests. That technology is able to determine the number of guests in a home based off of cell phone usage. It's able to track how many cell phones are in the property, so it's able to gauge how many are in the residence. It's compliant with criteria M. There aren't any proposed changes to the exterior existing structure. There could be a future paint color change on the trim and garage. However, the existing home will stay more or less the same. Criteria S is also compliant. There aren't any changes to the lighting. Existing lighting will be directed away from the adjacent properties. Criteria V is also compliant. The applicant will provide adjacent property owners with personal contact information in case there are problems at the location. Neighbors that are not adjacent to the property will be given business contact information as well as an introductory letter. For criteria X, no meals will be served, so they are found compliant. There is an asterisk with condition Z. It was found compliant as they did have an emergency response plan indicating emergency and non-emergency numbers for residents to use.
Okay, because on our report it says non-compliant.
Yeah, that is correct. So that is there has been a change to
Okay,
our
so it
findings.
has been amended, okay. Is it compliant now?
It is found compliant, yes. There was a discussion internally amongst us. We found that it was compliant. It was mislabeled on the staff report. So here are the standards to be considered, which are the same that we just went through regarding the criteria F, H, M, S, V, X, and Z. And then in determining special zoning certificates, there are the 4 that we listed out and went through prior. And that concludes staff's report.
Any questions from the board for staff?
No.
Will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, and any affiliation, and present your appeal?
Hi, I'm Andrew Hibner. Our home address, this is Julie Hibner, our home address is 802 4 Mile Road in Cincinnati, 45230.
Thank you. Did you have anything to add in addition to the staff report?
No.
Any questions from the board?
Does your driveway abut your neighbor's driveway, or is it an easement?
It abuts, they're
So the
connected.
property line runs down the middle?
Correct.
Okay, I didn't know how you handled the maintenance of it if it was shared.
That picture there shows you just, you can see the difference in the colors.
The color and the asphalt?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the same person who does the yard work is going to take care of the snow for any type of snow or ice.
Okay. People would know not to park on the other side of the driveway?
Yeah, yes.
That's all. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this appeal? Please step forward, state your name, address.
Hi, my name is Ruth Hardy. Our property backs up to their backyard. Our backyards meet.
What's your address again?
7757 Anderson Oaks Drive. Primary concerns. Our comments are requesting denial of a special zoning certificate for proposed conditional use. Our primary concerns are: 1, loss of neighborhood integrity and stability; 2, lack of recourse to stop recurrent nuisance issues; and 3, eroded security and increased vulnerability to criminal activity. 24 years ago, we chose our neighborhood as a place to put down roots because it is quiet and stable. We share a common ethic with our neighbors. We value peace and quiet. They are kind, considerate, and conscientious folks who are a pleasure to live around. We all value a stable neighborhood which maintains housing values and doesn't attract drugs or crime. We plan to remain in our home as long as we can and look forward to a peaceful retirement in our refuge where we can live our best life. But we are concerned that a conditional use permit approval for a short-term rental for the home adjacent to our backyard will lead to disruptions and disturbances that will interfere with the peaceful life we have worked so long and hard to achieve, and against which we have little recourse. The integrity of our neighborhood relies on our ability to communicate and work together to sort out problems. Even more concerning is the likelihood that the stable neighborhood that is surrounded by Washington Circle will become vulnerable to the creep of crime. While the homeowners in that neighborhood they work hard to maintain good condition and upkeep of their homes, their position is so close to Beachmont, it makes them particularly vulnerable to the criminal activity in that commercial district. Instability in their neighborhood will surely have a negative effect on our security. We're all well aware how crime has been steadily moving from Cincinnati to Mount Washington and out into areas close to ours. We've already had issues with drug paraphernalia being thrown over the fence into our backyard, not related to the previous homeowners, but the work of non-resident individuals hanging out in that neighborhood. Stable neighborhoods are the best defense against crime, so we must maintain the integrity of ours as a buffer that will guard against the downward spiral of our solid township. Short-term rentals have a history of contributing to the downward spiral of neighborhoods. I'm asking for a denial of this request for conditional use. There are a number of requirements listed on the staff report that you had it before, if you want to bring it up. The documents with which the applicants have not adequately complied, and I have addressed these. Let me put my glasses on. Under proposed development, the applicant has indicated they plan to use Airbnb, Vrbo, and like companies to screen potential guests. Screening. Airbnb and Vrbo have experienced many instances of neighborhood disturbance and criminal activity despite their vetting procedures. The owners will be off-site, and since they already have 2 apartment buildings to administer, we question their ability to be available to promptly mediate problems as they arise day or night. Consistent with adopted township plans, the conditional use is in accordance, it says. That's a recommendation. It's consistent with the goals and initiatives in the housing chapter of a comprehensive plan. My comment is, the applicant's house will become a business in the midst of a stable neighborhood with occupants who are not likely to be concerned with stability in the neighborhood. A short-term rental functions more like a hotel, with the difference being that a hotel is better secured with staff and management on site 24/7 who can address disturbances and expel troublemakers on the spot. So I would say in this regard, it's not in accordance with the comprehensive plan. This document also says, encourage the development and redevelopment of a variety of housing styles and densities. My comment, this conditional use changes neither style nor density and thus cannot be considered as adding to the comprehensive plan's goal of adding variety to styles and densities. Our neighborhood already has diverse types of homes, from homes on Washington Circle in the 150 to 250K range, to the Anderson Oaks subdivision between 250 and 400K, to the Grand Oaks subdivision ranging from 600 to 900K. The applicant's house, which sold for $245K, could have provided an affordable option for a family seeking stable, affordable housing, which is consistent with the goals and initiatives in the comprehensive plan. Regarding the future land use map, the staff believes the proposed short-term rental is consistent with this classification. I disagree. Single-family residence connotes stable occupancy by long-term residents. A short-term rental is a commercial enterprise, a business in the midst of a single-family neighborhood, and is thus not consistent with this use classification. Moving on down to L. Is that L or I? I think it's L. Measures shall be taken to minimize the impact of potential nuisances. And they say that they're compliant because they use party squasher technology to monitor the number of guests. What is the limit to the number of guests? Party squasher cannot limit the noise from guests. Small gatherings may become raucous. Even 2 or 3 rowdy or inebriated guests can create a disturbance with loud yelling, talking, or loud music at all hours. Guests arriving late, slamming doors, or bringing noisy conversations back to the patio. These occurrences almost never happened in our neighborhood because we are respectful of each other, but guests may not feel bound by normal rules of polite coexistence. What is the minimum length of stay? Is nightly turnover possible? Are pets allowed? If so, what controls do the owners have over pets barking? These are all questions I would like answers to. Is outdoor smoking allowed? If so, what measures will be taken to protect adjacent homeowners from secondhand smoke fumes from multiple guests outdoors? Additionally, the form says, additionally, the applicant has reached out to adjacent properties to discuss this proposal. Our property borders the applicant's backyard, yet although the hearing was postponed for 1 month, the applicant has not contacted us to discuss this proposal, nor have they contacted the houses on either side of us, both of which border on their property. So I would say that is not compliant. S, all exterior lighting shall be directed away from adjacent residential properties. Our backyard borders the applicant's entire backyard border to the north. Since November 20th, at least, the applicants have been burning bare bulb lights surrounding the top of their backyard patio arbor. Since the arbor is higher than our backyard fence, the light shine directly into our backyard and back windows 24/7. It's impossible to look out our kitchen or dining room bay windows without air strain, so we have to keep our blinds closed 24/7. The applicants have every right to burn bare bulb exterior lights 24/7 as that is their wish. But since the light is not directed away from our adjacent property, it is not compliant. On V, the applicant shall provide a plan indicating the manner in which the facility will maintain contact with neighborhood residents along with a structured procedure whereby resident grievances may be filed with the township and resolved by the facility. This is deemed compliant. But we are adjacent. We have not been provided with contact information, so that is not compliant. Under standards to be considered, L, measures shall be taken to minimize the impact of potential nuisances. My comment is measures for control of several potential nuisances have not been addressed, does not meet criteria. S, all exterior lighting shall be directed away from adjacent residential properties. The existing exterior lighting does not comply with the required criteria, in my view. V, the applicant shall provide a plan indicating the manner in which the facility will maintain contact with neighborhood residents along with a structured procedure for grievances. And again, I say, no contact information or grievance procedure plan has been provided to us, so the applicant does not meet the standards for the conditional use request. And under Z, 1, spirit and intent. The proposed use and development shall comply with the spirit and intention of the zoning resolution and its purposes. My comment is, the primary intent of the zoning designation of a single family is safety. In criminology, the routine activities theory explains the intimate link between the nature and location of everyday activities and patterns in crime across geographical spaces, and is one of the many reasons why local governments engage in zoning practices related to where one can build and how one can use their property. Zoning practices restrict and confine the nature of everyday activities to geographical places within a city and are tools for overseeing and maintaining public safety. This is why we see commercial activities located in different areas of town from residential activities. 2, no adverse effect. The proposed use and development shall not have an adverse effect. My comment is, filing grievances with the township will not be helpful in promptly resolving grievances regarding incidences involving short-term residents. The time lag and delayed response will prevent prompt relief of, quote, adverse effects, unquote, and repeated incidences may occur as tenants change. Reoccurrences may subject adjacent homeowners to prolonged and repeated disturbances. Just as the applicant has rights to live freely on their property, subject to township ordinances, the adjacent homeowners also have rights to not have their home life disrupted by the applicant's business clients. Under the terms of this conditional use, I will lose my rights because I have no recourse to protect against infringement of my normal lifestyle while at home on my property. Number 4, consistent with adopted plans, the proposed use and development shall be harmonious and in accordance with the comprehensive plan. In my view, this use requires a zoning change, and so the Board of Zoning Appeals should find that the proposed conditional use is not appropriate in the location proposed. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Please step forward, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Michael Hardy, 7757 Anderson Oaks Drive, 45255. We're the property that we just mentioned.
Oh, so you're the same property?
Yes,
Okay.
but I have an additional statement
No,
I'd
that's
like to
fine.
put forth. I have grave concerns regarding the use of property, use of this property for short-term rental, especially in regards to the potential increase in crime. Other than the VRBO and Airbnb claims that they vet applicants for short-term rentals, what is the owner's plan process for making sure the applicants they have for the STR are suitable? And I'd just like to additionally note, and this isn't going to be very long, there are at least 12 bars immediately accessible within a few blocks to 1 mile of 1399 Washington Circle on Beachmont Avenue. So that's one of my major concerns there is what it's going to do for the stability of our property. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak in opposition to the appeal? Seeing none, does the appellant wish to rebut any testimony presented so far?
My name again?
No.
Okay. I didn't take notes on everything they were discussing, and while their concerns are certainly understood, the neighborhood already has many rental properties in it, and I don't think adding a short-term rental is going to change the characteristics of that. Airbnb has had a history where there have been problems with people renting short-term rentals to throw wild parties. Airbnb has addressed that in changing the way their algorithm for checking people. On top of that, part of our plan, along with the party squasher that we noted, is to keep, and this is a standard with a lot of people, real estate investors that I've spoken with, to minimum of 3-night stays. And the idea, the tendency that I've heard from my colleagues in real estate investing is that by having a minimum of 3-night stays, you avoid the parties because people aren't renting homes like this for 3 nights in order to have one party. It doesn't work that way. The changes in smoking, there's not necessarily any change. If I smoked, I could go on the back patio of that building now and smoke all I want. And so if we happen to have a tenant who does smoke and they smoke outside, it would be the same instance. There's a mention of drug paraphernalia that has nothing to do with our house. I just want to accentuate that, although they did say that. Crime creeping from the Beachmont area, this doesn't change, doesn't have any impact based on our building. Let me check my notes, please. The lights, if we've left the light bulbs on, it was an accident. We didn't mean to, but they are standard lights. They were there when we bought the house. There's nothing new with those lights. Were there any other of their points that I can address directly that I've missed in my notes?
Do you have an occupancy limit?
We've listed it as it sleeps 6 people, so I'm not saying that that's the limit, but that's how we've listed it, with the intention that it would be 6 people. There's a possibility that they bring some kids who sleep on a couch, but that's how we've listed it on Airbnb, is 6 people, it sleeps 6.
On your form, you mentioned that we have built relationships and provided them with our personal phone number.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm sorry, I forgot
Now,
that one.
Okay, so they have testified that you have not provided them with information.
They are correct. We've talked to the neighbors directly on either side. Since we haven't been approved for a short-term rental, we didn't want to bother the people behind us, but as stated in there, it says we will contact them. I'm happy to walk over and give them my phone number right now, or put it into a form and pass it around to all the neighbors tomorrow.
Okay,
If that'd
but
be
you
helpful.
haven't so far.
I haven't so far, no.
No. You don't.
And with that, it'll address the grievance procedure. They'll be able to contact us directly via a specific email address just for this property, and through a phone number, through our business phone
Do you have a
number.
property management firm that's local?
No, I do everything.
Okay, and you reside in
In Cincinnati, 7 minutes away from the property.
where?
802 4 Mile Road.
Okay, all right.
How long have you lived in Anderson?
22 years.
Any further questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any further? Sir, do you have anything you wanted to add?
I
Please,
would like to.
please step forward to the podium.
I did not stand up earlier.
Okay, I'll have you sworn in. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Name is Timothy Hudson. Address is 1398 Columbus Avenue, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45255. So on the property, I would be the last house on Columbus, right there. So my driveway is a shared driveway where you saw the photo before. Yeah, I didn't anticipate this when I came. I was just kind of coming just as a support. Throughout the process, since they've purchased the property, just by living next door, I've had numerous conversations with both of the owners over a period of time. So I guess just to be very quick and short, I guess 2 Christmases ago or 3 years ago, my family, I have a brother in Toronto, Canada, sister in Kansas City and a brother in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. In the Sherwood area, we were able to find a rental property such as what they're wanting to do here, and we rented that property over Christmas time, and we're very grateful that we had that property available for my family to use during the time they were up for that week for Christmas. Didn't ever consider the fact that there were those type of rentals in Anderson Township, but it turned out that there were, more so than what we had thought. But for my family coming in, because my mother lives here in this area, it worked out fantastic for us. Upon hearing through time that this is what they intended here, I can just honestly say, without saying much more, I don't have any concerns living right next door to some of the concerns that have been mentioned here tonight. I guess in my case, I would welcome the guest who would come in and out over a period of time. I don't see the some of the things that are mentioned as far as I've lived in my residence since 2011 when we purchased this. My wife and I lived in Brown County, Ohio, where we both taught school. Retired in 2014 and have lived in the neighborhood since then. So that's my experience in the neighborhood where I'm at now. And as far as concerns that I've heard mentioned, these are not things that I've actually expected to hear tonight. I didn't know what to expect, I guess. So I'll leave it with just saying that I don't have any issues with what they're wishing to do with the property. And as far as my wife and myself are concerned, we are in approval of them being able to use it as a short-term rental. Thanks.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in favor or opposed to this appeal? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move it. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye. Anyone wish to start us off?
Well, when I went by and looked at the property, my big concern was the driveway, okay? And it appears as that concern has been addressed because I would have requested parking behind the house. And that appears to be, am I right, the way this is set up? Okay, that it'll only be behind the house. The only other question I'd have, in the past we've had people come in and tell us they've had the limit to 8 people or 6 people. Could you address that to us?
You know, that's a tough one. I'm not sure that how we would limit that. In other words, I mean, you know, if a family of 7, for instance, could live in the same property, I don't know that we could limit a short-term rental to have an arbitrary number that we decide is appropriate. I think that's up to them to decide. And obviously, we heard the comment that the neighbor didn't think that they thought the zone change should be required for this. And obviously, this is something that the trustees have allowed as a conditional use in residential neighborhoods. So, you know, we have to consider it as the zoning resolution provides it as a potential conditional use. But yeah, I'm not sure how you would decide, how the board would decide what the appropriate, you know,
and I'm just
occupancy is.
curious,
No,
because every one in the past, I always remember they always go for, it's going to be 6 people, 8 people, 4 people, or whatever.
Yeah, and I know I've used VRBO and Airbnb when we go to Denver to visit my son, when we go on vacations. We took a vacation up to Big Sky, Montana, 2022, and had 12 of us in this. It was a nice house.
Yeah.
Well, I owned out there, but you know, and I don't think, you know, it's very very common occurrence, and I think more and more people are using that for their vacations, and you know, it's a residential use.
Okay.
So.
All right, I appreciate your input. The only other question I would have on this in my mind is the notification issue that took place. Can we confirm, or as a conditional, could we make that as a condition of approval? Because it appears as it hasn't happened yet.
What is the requirement of the code for that?
Is it a radius? For some reason, I thought there was a radius.
I mean, it says the applicant shall provide a plan indicating the manner in which the facility will maintain contact with neighborhood residents along with the structure and procedure whereby residents' grievances may be filed with the township to resolve by the facility. I mean, if your testimony from the property that they had a plan, they may not have implemented all of it yet, but I think if they have an obligation to follow that for a testimony that they would.
And under the recommendation, it says will provide, so that would cover that instance, right? Okay. That's all I have.
Any further discussion? Any motions?
I'd like to make a motion in case number 21-2023 that the board approve, citing the board's recommendation in their report and attaching the letter of September 27th, making it known that all items must be complied with, because some of them are will provide, so however we want to word that all items will be complied with, okay, before granting, okay?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Are we going to decision journalize right now, or are we going to do it at the end?
We traditionally do those at the end. They're listed in the agenda otherwise, but
Any objection to do it at the end?
What?
A decision and journalizing?
No, that's, yeah.
Do it at the end. So that's completes your case. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. You don't have to. But when will their documentation be ready?
we'll be in contact with you.
Thank you, sir. With that, will the staff please read the summary for case 24-2023 BZA?
Thank you, Board. So this is case 24-2023. The applicant is Catherine and Stuart Scheller on behalf of Catherine and Stuart Scheller Trust, the property owner. The location is 1016 Markley Road, which is B Residence. The request is a conditional use for a short-term rental at the premises of 1016 Markley Road per Article 5.4I-15 of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. The proposed use, the applicant is proposing to operate a short-term rental in an existing single-family residence. They have not proposed any changes to the property. They indicated that they will be using Airbnb, VRBO, and like companies to screen potential guests, and they will also have the addition of outdoor security cameras. The history of the property was built in 1865 and was acquired in March of 2014 by Catherine and Stuart Scheller Trust. There are no zoning code or property maintenance violations. The most recent zoning permit was issued in 2004. Here's the property map of the property in question. It's a rather large property there in the back. There's an aerial of the property. Here's the topography. It does have a lot of change in terrain. It slopes on the west side from west to east, and then it slopes from east to west on the eastern part of the property. Here are images taken on November 22nd of the property in question. And here's the applicant's submittal. So findings, the spirit and intent, the proposed use would comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution with the district purposes meeting conditional use standards. It's proposed to continue as a single-family use for personal use while also being a short-term rental at the same time. There's a minimum stay of 4 nights, and that is mandatory. The rental would not have adverse effects upon adjacent property owners. The public health, safety, and general welfare would not be adversely affected. The applicant has stated there are exterior cameras that are triggered by motion. The owners own the adjacent property which shares the driveway, and the short-term, which is also the next case for tonight. This is to ensure cooperation with township guidelines as well as the rental agreement. The short-term rental will respect natural, scenic, historic features of significant public interest. They have not changed the exterior of the existing home. They've indicated that landscaping and the lawn will be professionally maintained, and governmental services will not be impacted by granting the conditional use. It is consistent with the adopted township plans as seen here and in your packets as well. So for the specific criteria, it is compliant with parking. There is adequate parking in the driveway, as well as a 2-car garage. Parking will not be allowed on the shared portion of the driveway. Compliant, there's a maximum number of 6 vehicles, and parking a boat and or trailer is not allowed in the driveway or street. Is compliant with minimizing impact. The applicant has established quiet hours. There's a no party policy as well as no smoking, no pets. There's that 4-night minimum to deter parties and events. And then there's the ring cameras to help with enforcement and security. It is compliant with the no alterations. There aren't any proposed changes to the existing structure. It's compliant with lighting. No changes to the lighting is proposed. Existing lighting is directed away from adjacent properties. Compliant with a plan indicating contact. Applicants have stated that they will provide surrounding property owners with contact information for the property owners and Anderson Township Services as well. It is compliant with no meals being served, and they're compliant with the emergency response plan as well. And these are the standards to be considered. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Mr. Halpin suggested we consider both of these cases together, this one and the next one. Is that any objection to council?
I think it'd probably be better to consider them separately. I know from the time perspective, there's a lot of overlap between them. Each will have its own potential conditional use. Okay.
Thank you. With that, are there any questions for the staff and the board?
None.
Seeing none, will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come forward, state their name, address, and present their case? Sure.
My name is Stu Scheller, 1016 Markley Road.
And I'm Kathy Scheller.
And there was one correction. I think we put our property into a trust in 2014, but we've actually lived there since 1995, 29 years. We've enjoyed being part of the Anderson Township Garden Show with this property. My wife is a master gardener, and we look forward to sharing this with people that would like to take advantage of it.
As our family dynamics have changed and our children have grown and we have 12 grandchildren, we find we use the house, we still live in the house, but a lot of times, you know, we don't need that much space, but we're not willing to give up the family home yet the expenses continue. So this was, my plan when I bought the house, or when we bought the house, was to raise our children there and then to do a bed and breakfast. And then when it came time to do that, we kind of freaked out at the idea of people down the hall in another bedroom. But this was a way for us to do that and continue to keep the property and not have to sell it and break it up into many pieces and a subdivision. I love this home. I've dedicated years of my life to preserving the history of it, so this is important to us. It's personal. And our neighbors are personal. We love them all.
Any questions?
So you're going to live in the house?
Yeah, we live.
Combination with short-term rental?
Correct.
Person?
Yeah, we travel a lot. We have grandchildren in Texas and North Carolina, and so as we rent it out, we will base our schedule based on that.
And we also own both houses, so if we rent one out, we can live in the other house. It makes it very easy and flexible for us. And we have 2 sons here locally who can watch over anything for us. One is just down on Forest Road, so it just works out well.
Any further questions from the board?
None for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this appeal? Seeing none, any further questions from the board? Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
We have a motion and second to close. Please read the roll.
Mr. Sine.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye. Any thoughts from the board?
I only had one item, and I probably need a little assistance with this, okay? As I looked at this in a different perspective, somebody coming out of town, and they say there's no parking on the drive, I'd be concerned for emergency vehicles getting back there. People, renters would just come out and park in the front of it.
Yeah, I
How do
think-
we address that?
I think that's up to the
document?
property owners, and I think they've addressed it
Oh,
I looked at the attachments, the rental agreement,
Yeah.
things like that, and it's as comprehensive of one, more than I usually had
so
to
you're
sign.
comfortable with it?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
they've
all I
got,
need
they've
to
got
know.
designated
Okay.
parking area, and, they're able to direct their tenants to do that. I mean,
We have a very big parking area, and it's
Yeah.
a circle drive back there, so emergency vehicles could still get in and around.
All right. That was my only concern.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
In case number 24, 2023, I move that we grant the variance. This is the variance, it's a conditional use, citing the staff report and the documents submitted by the applicant.
You have a motion?
Second.
Second, we have a second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Sine.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye. With that, we will move on to case 25-2023 BZA. Will the staff please read the
Mr.
report?
Chairman, I would suggest that, when it comes time for the applicant to testify, if he or she just wants to reincorporate from the previous case, I think that'd be highly appropriate, so you
Thank
don't
you.
have to waste your time or their time.
So this is case 25. The difference being that is for 1006 Markley Road. More or less everything, every other piece of information on this screen is the same, as well as the same here. It's still a short-term rental. They're still using Airbnb VBRO to screen guests. It was still built in 1959. It was transitioned from the Schellers to the Scheller Trust in August of 22, and there are no zoning certificates on file. It's this property right here, the one highlighted in red. There's the aerial. Topography, still very hilly going from west to east, decline. And here are pictures from the property. Here's a submission from the applicant. The conditional use findings are the same as the previous one. The difference being that there's a maximum of 4 cars allowed at the house, but still no significant change to the outside appearance or adverse effects otherwise. Conditional use findings are still the same on the screen as well. Still compliant for criteria F, as well as H. Again, the maximum number of cars changing to 4, but still no boat or trailer being allowed in the driveway or street. L is compliant, M is compliant, S being compliant, V being compliant, X being compliant, and Z being compliant. Again, more or less the same information from the last case. And here are the standards to be considered. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions of staff?
None.
The appellants wish to re-enter their prior testimony. Do you have anything else to add?
We were excited to purchase this property. As we drive past it for 29 years. Former owner rescued dogs, and it was very noisy and loud. So, and the landscaping needed a lot of help. So we were excited to be able to improve the property that adjoins our property. So we look forward to having 2 amazing properties available for guests that come to Anderson Township. Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
None.
Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Seeing none, does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the appeal? Seeing none, we have a motion from the board to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
Anyone wish to start us off?
I have, I support it.
I've supported it as well. There's same thing over.
I'm good.
Do we have a motion?
Any
Second.
case, let me get it out for you a second. In case number 25-2023, we grant the conditional use request citing the staff report and the owner's documents that were submitted.
Is your second still saying?
Yes.
We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
And with that, both these cases are approved. Staff will get in touch with you on the next steps.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay if you like. You don't have to.
Chris and Stephen did a nice job as well.
They always do. With that, will staff please read the report for case number 26-2023 BZA?
Thank you, board. This one is different. This is case 26-2023.
No, it's okay.
The applicant is Kent Bradley Rush from Kent Bradley Rush Architects LLC on behalf of the property owner Thomas Holmes and Maria Amicone, the property owners. The location is 7322 Lawrence Road. The zoning is A, and the request is for an attached garage located at the property 7322 Lawrence with a proposed front yard setback of 35 feet 4 inches where a 50-foot front yard setback is required per Article 3.3C2A of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. So the applicant is proposing to construct a 21-foot 2-inch by 24-foot 6-inch attached garage, again with that setback being 35 feet 4 inches. They're also adding a 22-foot 7-inch by 9-foot covered front porch with a setback of 43 feet and 7 inches. The front porch does not require a variance. Within the zoning resolution, we have a caveat where if it's an open porch, even if it's covered, that it can go 10 feet into the front yard setback. So the variance again would just be for the attached garage. The home was built in 1960 and purchased by the current property owners in December of 2011. There was an accessory structure zoning certificate issued in September of 2023, replacing an old shed with a new 25-foot by 16-foot shed in the rear yard, and there are no open zoning violations for the property. The property in question is highlighted in red there between Turnkey and I'm blanking on the name of that road now. Lawyers Point Drive. Here's an aerial of the property. There's topography, fairly flat. There's slight variation in topography, but again, generally flat. So, variance findings. The opinion of staff is that it is not a substantial variance. The existing conditions prevent the proposed garage from being built in the rear yard. There's an existing pool that creates challenges going towards the rear of the property. There are 15-foot side yard setbacks, and the house is more or less at those 15-foot setbacks. So the only viable location for an addition would be in the front. Additionally, with the angle of the lot, it further causes challenges with how the setbacks are. The house also is the only house that fronts onto Lawyer, as the two houses along that stretch, one goes onto Lawyer's Point, the other one other one empties onto Turnkey. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered. Adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. The variance would not adversely affect governmental services. The property did purchase the property with knowledge of zoning restrictions. Though they did purchase it with the knowledge, existing conditions prevented them from, again, building in any other location other than in the front of. The property owner's predicament could not be feasibly obviated through any other method other than a variance, given the existing conditions mentioned. And the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and justice done by granting the variance. The lot and the house orientation cause meeting the 50-foot setback very difficult, and there will still be significant setback in the front yard at over 35 feet. Standards to be considered are as follows. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Any questions of staff from the board?
No.
The appellant or the appellant's representative, please step forward, state their name, address, and present their appeal, please.
My name is Kent Roush, Kent Bradley Roush Architects, 4142 Airport Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45226. And I wasn't sworn in, so I don't know if I need to be sworn in now.
Yes. Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thomas Ryan Holmes, 7322 Lawyer Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45244, so owner of the home, with my wife, Maria.
And I thought I'd explain a little bit when the clients approached me for the design. There is an existing garage at the first floor level, and this house is a tri-level house, so it made the design issues a little more difficult to keep an expanded kitchen for an expanded family at the same level as the living area. If you look at the floor plan, if I was to take that kitchen and new garage and push it to the rear, the kitchen would have been isolated from the rest of the house. There had been no real way to access the kitchen to the first floor of the house. So that was the premise at the beginning. And I did talk to Anderson Township early on, and the one concern they had was to make sure, I forget the street on the right, that we would keep a good view corridor down Lawyer. So we did take that into concern, and we did limit the size of our new kitchen and location just so we wouldn't impact that view corridor. So, but that was the main reason why we went to the front, was to be able to keep the kitchen adequate and adjacent to the first floor living in the house, and then add a new garage there. And then above the new kitchen, not that it matters, we're doing a new master bedroom just for all the kids. Not a lot of kids, but they have a few kids. And of course, I can answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of this appeal? Anyone wish to speak in opposition to the appeal? Seeing none, get a motion from the board to close the public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sine.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
With that, any thoughts, questions?
Well, I had one issue when I visited the house, and I pulled in, and there was a car in the turnaround area, okay? And so I had to back out on the street there, and it felt like I was taking my life in my own hands. Now, I can't control that, but I would like to include in any motion we do that be maintained as a matter of public safety. Okay.
We very much want that turnaround for the same reasons already stated.
Okay, let's hit it and get it. The only other thing, you talked to the township about, they talked about the township about vegetation. I'd like to put something in there about maintaining the existing vegetation. By that, I mean, if you lose a 30-foot tree, our expectation would not be to replace it with a 30-foot tree, but a similar tree. And, is that acceptable?
I have trouble, I guess, seeing how that's connected necessarily to the,
No, because the client brought up there was an issue that we talked to the township about it.
If I might add, I think he was talking about visibility going on to Lawyer. Making sure that when you're turning, there's
So
maintaining.
I understand that. I'm good.
Yeah.
Forget I had that conversation with myself.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion?
In the case of 26/2023, we grant the variance, citing the staff report, the drawings dated 11/8/23, submitted by the client.
Construction to be started within
Oh, yeah, construction in 1 year, completed in 2. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Any other amendments? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Sine.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
With that, this is approved by straw vote. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. You don't have to. Staff will be in
Thank
touch
you.
with further paperwork.
Have a good night. You're welcome to stay.
If you're really excited, you stay.
You'll be billing for staying.
We're going to question you if you are. I didn't want to know why she stayed. I thought she was going to object to the other movies.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, whatever holiday.
Whatever you got going on.
Happy holiday.
See you guys after the new year, I'm sure.
Thank you again for your help.
We do have a case for January already, so not that you will be there.
That's after the holidays.
Yes. For the board, you do have a case on Monday.
To say this is the most impressive document I've seen.
All right, case 21.
I offered them their covers. They didn't want to.
I'm currently in the editing phase. You guys, I still have to edit the document. Oh, yeah, you guys are good.
All right. So go ahead.
You can read as I do it, but I am still working. That will-
Would not be.
Correct. I'm still editing.
Let 'em
So once I'm done editing, I will, yeah, then we.
Figured he was starting down to the. You didn't take your speed reading class today.
Once the attorney knows, they usually deliver the notes they give her.
All right. Is there any other major things that I'm missing?
Yeah.
All right.
Like, wouldn't it make sense that if you had that, they would have to notify at least everyone that's adjacent to the property?
I think to that effect, if they
Or a
don't,
radius of some sort?
I think the intention is, if it becomes approved, then they would notify. Otherwise, if you're denied, you're more or less just sharing your information, just for the sake of sharing your
So this is
information.
putting the cart before the horse, basically, if you do it now.
Yeah, I mean, you're more than welcome to, but I think the idea with the condition that if it were to go through and there were to be a problem, that people would have a way of contacting.
Okay.
But if it gets denied and they preemptively did it, then you more or less just, yeah, there would not be any need there, so. It is ready for your review if you all are ready. Do you want to use property or house? Okay. To the rear. Yeah.
Got to know that they're subject to the following conditions. Since I don't think we had the
Oh.
conditions.
I don't believe so. So. Was there a condition for parking? Okay. By the Board of Zoning Appeals. I didn't think there were any. Okay. Cool.
You all good? Do you have a motion?
For
21.
Case 21.
2021-2023. 2023? We have a motion. Do we have a second? The Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin. Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
You can't go yet, John. We still got 3 more. Now, do we want to cite their documents that were submitted on these two? Did we cite the documents?
We didn't do it the last one.
Yeah, I know, but we should have. They didn't actually do a submittal documents, other than we referenced the board's report. On this one, they actually submitted documents that we referenced. Yeah. So it's the referencing, it was approved based on the board's recommendation and the documents submitted by the appellant. They considered appellants, or how are they considered? But we did include that as a reference.
Would we have on the last document as well?
Well, on the one before, they didn't have any submitted documents.
They would have had,
We
oh, you're talking about,
just referenced your
you're just talking about the
report.
documents
Yeah.
themselves, okay.
So on this one, we reference your report and the documents submitted by. Citing the staff report and the documents submitted by the well, we just cite it as what we granted it for. I don't know how two attorneys we want to go. When would we hear? Jeff will have us here all night. Subject to following conditions, yeah. Staff recommendations and the supporting documents they provided. And we can do the same thing in the next one.
Correct, that
Would
applicant
fall- would-
will follow.
If
follow
the
staff
applicant
recommendation.
would,
Oh, yeah.
Will follow staff
well,
recommendation.
they're not gonna follow this. We approved it based on the staff recommendation and the supporting documents. So approval was granted based on, however you wanna word that, the staff recommendation and the supporting documents.
The conditional use is hereby granted by the Board of Zoning Appeals, subject to the
Following
applicant.
conditions. The, following, I don't know if we would say conditions, or, I guess those are conditions. The staff report and the supporting documents provided by the applicant, I think
I
would
guess
work.
would
We
I-
need Jeff here right now.
I guess, would it be appropriate to say, would the applicant would act in accordance to staff recommendation and supporting documentation filed by the applicant? Does that sound more appropriate?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
better.
The applicant will act in accordance to staff recommendation and the supporting documentation filed by the applicant. Okay, does that sound okay?
Yeah.
We'll let Jeff give feedback at the next meeting.
Yeah, if he kicks it back. We'll vote on it again.
All right. Are we ready? Ready.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good. Okay.
I guess, do we need to add acting chair and secretary? Or we'll try it in. Sorry, is everyone good?
Any other edits? No other edits? Any motion?
I move that we approve
24,
24-2023 as written.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Sine.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Aye.
All right, I think we're good if you're ready.
Good there. This one, F, says to the back
Is
of
it-
the
it-
house, was it, didn't they have a garage?
It
like
does.
Front driveway?
Yeah,
I-
it's a two-story garage underneath the house. on
Yeah, for the
backside.
Mark Late's the one, their garage is in the rear.
Yeah. It's underneath the house.
Does it
on the
say?
backside.
That's the range in front.
Right.
I thought the other two-story said that same thing.
For which one is it, F or H? So for, this is 1006 Markley. The parking and the garage, it's a rear entrance. It's in the back of the house. So that, I think that is appropriate. That's correct.
Well, I don't know, the house has a two-story garage. I don't know if you want to use on the property or not. Of a two-story garage,
The two-car garage?
two-car garage. It's a two-car garage on the second one. It's underneath in the backside. So it's a two-car garage,
Mhm.
not on the property. It's a two-story garage, part of the house. But it should be a two-car garage, not on the property. Make use of the two-car garage on the house. Period. And, you know,
On the house, literally on top of the house.
no, the house is attached to the garage.
Is that adequate?
Let's see, we're probably looking at a driveway parking to the back of the house as well, that doesn't make sense, as well as the use, the two-car garage, not attached to, just two-car garage,
Then just end it?
period.
Okay, that's fine with me.
God, I feel like Jeff now.
You would be proud.
All right. Okay. Yep.
We have a motion on 25-2023 BZA.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the written document for 25-2023 BZA.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Motion to second. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Sine.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Stop the road for this. Spitting pistol.
Yep. More or less, sometimes a little more.
I don't remember having really contentious this year.
There's Airbnb.
Spicewood.
Yeah. That's still up in the air.
Okay, let's get this going, because John's got to wait around for 6 hours to sign this.
That's right.
Yeah, the other one was the sign.
I'm the acting secretary.
Yeah.
You nominated yourself.
You volunteered for this position.
Wait, this is incorrect. This is.
I have to call my spouse over here.
All right. All right. I'm good. Okay. I'm good.
Is that good? I can scroll back down.
Was it November 8th? Yes, it was.
What's that?
I just want to double check the date. So I've got a short memory.
Well,
Yep, it's November 8th. Yep.
they stamped November 9th, but that was when they were received.
Yeah. Dated, plans are dated November 8th.
It is right there, I see it.
Okay, we're good.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I motion that we approve the documents as altered for case 26/2023 BZA.
Motion, do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Science.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels.
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Mr. Science.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Mr. Shekels. Mr. Lawrence. Which one you got?